Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Friday Fandemonium. For those of you who are here on the early show, which may be one person, maybe two people, talk to tell YouTube doesn't always give you the proper update when you're not refreshing the page constantly, right? So it's Friday, February 9th, 3:01 p.m. right now. Only 30 seconds later. So, I'm just waiting to see if the why isn't Yes, yeah, YouTube. Like I had the page open so that like I could see it and then mute it and whatever, so I can know what's going on, right? But apparently, YouTube is very unreliable as far as updating a little page you have open for a half an hour or whatever. So while waiting for everyone, I'll deploy the anti-doxing technology. The audio should be good by now. Yep. There's a lot of comic books during this the early unboxing. Okay. People remember to cover when you're the barcodes too, because technically they can be scanned through the internet. Man, I'm losing my touch. Well, this tape isn't as sticky as it should be. Don't have anyone yet, so we'll just keep doing the anti-doxing technology deployment. Okay. Okay, the comics are now properly anti-doxed. Let's get this other little item properly anti-doxed. It's 3:04. Okay, anti-doxing technology deployed. I like 7 rolls of tape in my drawers. Okay, so 3:05. So first up, what's in the box? What's in the box? Could I, in fact, have been receiving Gwyneth Paltrow's severed head? With my Decepticon knife. Okay, now You guys don't care about Ziploc bags. That's not what's in the other thing in this box. So we can put this to the side somewhere. Here. So here's this. So when you have multiple computers to manage, I mean, ideally, you have one. If you're at home, you'll have one desktop, and you could spend the money and get network like enterprise grade stuff with IPMI ports and all that, and manage the whole hardware and software through the network. But the layman's way to do that, if you have multiple computers, I now have 2 desktop computers I have to manage. My old one, which got replaced by the current supercomputer we discussed last week, right? So what I decided to do in the short term, so I can deal with, I'll talk about that later. I'll talk about the whole Linux setup situation on my next Linux episode, which will be tomorrow. But I decided to set my old PC up as a Windows 10 gaming machine, and I just sort of game through it, and I'll show you what that looks like, even though I'll dock myself. So I will present. Now I'm going to temporarily move you guys to the other screen, right? I'm going to present, share screen, and window, entire screen, this one. Okay, so now you guys can see the desktop I'm working on, right? So this is a RDP into the Windows 10 machine, and I could like load a game up. Like I'm not going to play live, but like for example, now I have full control over this. Like if I play. There's my World of Warcraft. There's the GeForce Experience, blah, blah, blah. And then, I could basically, load in the game. You guys can see that. And I'm doing this through on Linux, Ramina, which is using the remote desktop protocol to remote into the Windows setup over there, right? The Windows that's installed on that machine. And of course, close. And you can see I can totally control my character in the game. I do have to tune the keyboard a bit more when you're doing RDP. Sometimes the protocol, the keyboard is a little oversensitive, right? But I can basically run around, play the game through the Windows, so I have full access to my whole, like here's my RDP sessions that I run off of like Khan. I name all my home computers after like bad guys, basically. Like my main computer is Melkor, the new one. My old one is Khan, after Khan Noonien Singh. The computer on the ground behind me, which you see is the shadow. That's that's Unicron, so and so on. And so this one is on my old desktop. These other four are. This is a remote into the actual Windows Hyper-V that's running on Unicron. And these are into Windows Server 2019 VMs that are running virtually on Unicron, right? So that's the versatility of dealing with VMs and such. And so I'm not doing a lot of gaming session here, but this gives me the ability to get, you can see it, 160 FPS. Whereas in when I was trying under Linux, this exact same game with lower resolution was struggling to get 30 FPS on that hardware, right? So this gives me full functionality back. And what I think I'll eventually do once I figure it all out is be able to make a VM on Melkor, which is my main computer, which is powerful enough to get similar performance through desktop virtualization, because the hardware on Melkor is much more powerful than the hardware on Khan. In any case, that's kind of what that's explains. Now, the problem when you have multiple hardware, this is what I'm getting to, is this particular device, right? We can we'll stop presenting for now. Stop screen. So I get you guys back in front of me where it's comfortable. And I can put that away. Okay. So the problem is that computer is fine by itself, but occasionally you have to get onto that computer because I don't have what's called the network management capabilities on there, right? So what I need to do in that case, right, is I have it you have to attach a monitor, keyboard, and mouse to it, right? So what I have is, now in the era of USB, in the olden days of when like wait before like back up until like early 2000, 2002 or so, you physically had to have a keyboard plugged into your computer or it wouldn't boot. It's a weird memory thing where um, eventually they altered the CPU and Windows and operator to turn this off. What's called we used to call it the A20 memory gateway was physically in your keyboard, right? So to access memory above 640K up until like the late 90s, early 2000s, if your keyboard wasn't plugged in, your computer memory controller wouldn't work correctly. It was a really weird and stupid hack around for something they did for the old memory limitations on computers. So you had to have it. So even after it went away, though, which let's say when we were in the 90s, you still had to have a keyboard plugged in for your computer to boot because of the old precautionary thing about it. So eventually USB came along and they eliminated that. So now in the era of USB, it gets simpler. Now that's what I'm getting to, right? So a KVM switch is normally a fairly expensive device, like in the $1,500 range for a decent one. And you can go even further. You can get a network KVM like that was sitting in a rack. I could run wires to every computer that I want, and then remote into it through like a web interface and KVM to everything. Even like I have my laptop remote into that and have a monitor on every computer plugged into it. Right. That's how you might do it on the advanced side, right? What practical would do would you get like a $50 KVM, which could be $2 or $100 would be a 4 machine. You plug all the wires in, and then you have your one monitor in front of you, or you're right, and all you have to do is hit a button on the KVM, right, and it would switch the monitor input to the next one, the keyboard input to the next one, the mouse input. You could rotate through them. So I don't really want to go that far, but I only need to use that computer occasionally, right? So, and I'll probably talk about this setup again under Linux. So what I really need is the ability to use my current keyboard and mouse on both computers, right? So I have what's called a even simpler device. It's a USB switch. So you see on one end it has 4 USB inputs. Focus. Oh, here it is. Focus. So all USB 3.0. So in my case, I'll plug my keyboard's Bluetooth receiver into one of them, right? And it has 2 outputs. And one output will go to a USB 3.0 port on one computer, one to the other. And there's a button that will switch between the two. So computer one would be Melcore, computer two would be Con. And any device plugged into this side, when I hit the button, would switch over to the other one. Now that can get complicated, but what I'm probably going to wind up doing to make life easy is I'll have the USB key fob for my keyboard and mouse in one, and and then I could always the others. I'm not maybe I don't know what to do with the others. I don't necessarily need the others. It's basically a USB hub, which I can use for other things besides that. Right, it's a powered USB hub. So now the interesting thing here, and this tells you, and this is pretty nifty because it's even though USB is power, it's why it's called a powered USB hub, right? Um, the interesting thing is that when you switch from here to here, because the power would come in from these ports, if you switch, it would turn off when you do the switch. So they give you a separate USB 2.0 wire, which you can plug into either PC or you can get a, if you really want to go with it, do I have one? I do have it somewhere here. I could, for example, instead of plugging this into a PC, I could plug this into direct power. So this would always have power as long as I have power, right? I'm probably just gonna cheap out and plug this into one of the computers. If the power goes off, I'm not gonna be using any of it anyway. So that's pretty neat. And of course, they give me 2 short USB 3.0 cables. So these will be for the output, right? So these will be for the connection to the PCs, and I'll plug whatever I want on the other side. And this device is probably fairly cheap. I paid $10 for it or something like that. And the reason again I need cheap is I only need the ability to occasionally plug the keyboard and mouse because my monitors have multiple inputs, and I have the output of Con onto the HDMI input for this other monitor over here. so I can switch it manually when I need to. If RDP is not working, I need to actually get to the hardware. Like say I reinstall Windows or maybe if I'm messing around with the motherboard or whatever, I can change here, use the USB key switch to go over to there, and boom. That's that. I'll probably need this one more time. Okay, so that's the hardware aspect of it. Computer. That's the tech. The tech portion of your show is over for the day, right? So let's get to the comic unboxings. I guess I thought I do need the knife. There's supposed to be a little pull tab on these things. I just can't find it. I guess it's more entertaining for you that way. Cut it with a knife. I normally do save the clean up till later, but I'm recycling these guys. I'm recycling them. They're properly being recycled. If someone else is out there, whoever's listening, greetings. Don't have to type any comments. I'm glad to have you out there. Okay. Now we're down to the internal cardboard container, which I'm happy. This is from Ron's Comic Closet. He does do excellent packaging. Always cut away from yourself. Okay, even more. Let's check my invoice. Okay. We'll properly dispose of this later. This one I can properly dispose of right now. It's all for the environment, guys. All for the environment. I'm protecting the environment. Oh, more cardboard. I'm okay with the packaging. We're almost down to it, guys. Almost there. Okay, so what we got? So this is actually. Let me make sure I got the right thing here. Okay, so I'll show off the first miniseries. And now I believe I showed off issue 1 of this. This is called Destiny Gate. Look at that beautiful cover. All beautiful covers, right? I'm 99% sure I have issue 1 of this already. Okay. take a look at it. This is from Top Cow, which I believe is published through Image. It's I want to say it's a $3.99 book. I'm not. It's a little flimsy, even for a $3.99er. Okay, if I were holding this like with support, the spine would bend. You know, the paper is glossy, so at least you get something out of it. All right, and so here's our team. Ryan Caddy is the writer. Our artist and colorist are Kristen Dabari, Simon Gao, Troy Patari is the letterer, Hawkins and Solito are the editors, right? And then our cover artists are down there too. Dabari and Gao did 1, and CP Smith did cover B. Right? Yeah, it's a $3.99 book. The artwork is good. I'll listen with a comic book. The first thing that grabs your attention is going to be the artwork, right? And I like this sort of, almost a noir style of art. You know, this series comes across as Lovecraftian to me. So sort of some sort of, but it might be magical, which means not Lovecraftian, but Lovecraft is science. He's a science fiction writer. But this comes across as something in the mental vein of Lovecraft. Another shot of it. Yeah, I'm now 97, 90, almost 100% sure I've issued one of this in the box, ready to read. So what I mean is, usually Friday after I do the show, I relax and do comic reading for a couple hours. So I mean, Friday afternoon thing, you know. Cover issue 3. And I love the artwork in this one. Issue 4. We'll show off the inside. Oh, here's a non-colored page. What is color versus non-colored? Right? This is an advertisement for another book, by the way, not this particular issue. I think. No, this is this issue. This is this issue. Yeah, I like that. I like that depiction. Right. Oh no, that's okay. That's afterward. They're showing art at the back before and after they colored it, so it's really nice. This would be a nice poster, by the way. So this appears to be about a guy in the 20s who is investigating something, and so I'll read it from the Image's website. Life, for the most part, is a product of the decisions you make. For some, a wrong decision or two or more leads to the crossroads on the other side of the destiny gate. Do you fight for a chance to survive and start anew, or do you succumb to your inner demons and end it all, and worse, yours? In his opening tale, we meet Mitchell Slate at the height of the Great Depression, down in his luck and heading home to disappoint and desperate family. Mitchell's train ride veers off the rails and transforms into a macabre and dark, fantastical journey to his own fragile soul. And this is a 4-issue miniseries, so I did read the first issue, and I'm going to go back and reread the first issue and read the follow-ups. Now, this is a miniseries. Borealis is short for Aurora Borealis. It's believed to be steeped in American Indians, specifically the Alaskan, like they call Aleutians of the tribe, into their lore. Okay, so I really dug the first issue. I like when we get like mythological and folklore stuff from any culture, really, right? And rather than, and this is from Dark Horse, a $3.99 book. The spine is a little better than the spine of this $3.99 book. I'll tell you that much. Hey, CLS, welcome to the show. How you doing this afternoon, buddy? CLS Studios is one of my regular guys. Again, some nice artwork in here. Let's see. There's our team of creators. The story is by Mark Verheyden and Aaron Douglas. Art is by Cliff Richards. Colors are Guy Major. Lettering Jim Campbell. So we got here's some internal artwork. So this is issue 2 of the miniseries. You know. Now this is Antarctica 6 and 7. There's a 10-issue sci-fi horror miniseries. The first issue was a little weird, not in a good way. It's okay, CLS. Better late than never, man. The only thing you really missed was I did my first unboxing and I was showing off a little bit of tech. I was explaining the USB, basically not a KVM switch, but this is a KM switch via USB. I was just showing off the little piece of hardware I bought for the 2 computers. That's all. Anyway, so this is again. It starts real slow. They take a while to get into the story about what's going on here. But by the 3rd issue, I was really intrigued and I'm enjoying it a lot. So this is one of those miniseries. A lot of times when you can tell it's really a graphic novel they're publishing in separate issues, and so if you were to pay, I don't know, $15 or whatever for a graphic novel of this, technically you might enjoy it more than reading issue by issue as it's ongoing. I'll show off some of the artwork. Right. And one of the themes in this, one of the reasons this intrigues me, is one of the themes in here is fatherhood and a child's relationship with our father. I have father issues, like with lack of mind and all that. And this story goes back and forth talking about there's some flashbacks to childhood with the girl and her dad and her quest to find her dad and all that. I really like the artwork in this a lot. That's true of anything I buy, obviously. Sorry that my nose just decided to screw me over. Again, a solid construction. Look at the color palette change. They do it very well. They go from the darks to the colors. And without spoiling it too much, this comic deals with parallel worlds and alternate time streams and stuff and experiments related to that. Okay, so that's that's my first Ron's Comic Closet shipment. Let's put that to the side. Then we'll go to Ron's Comic Closet again. Another little deep dive. Now there's supposed to be a pull tab, like you would go and open these envelopes up. I don't see it anywhere. Maybe I can just pry it open. Find it. Yeah, CLS. I mean, comics. I don't read any Marvel or DC anymore, CLS. But there's a lot of good indies out there. I don't know if I have time on this stream. I may just. I'm this stream. I may run it. I may do a separate little stream just for the hell of it tomorrow, or later today or whenever. Ordering comics, just to and you guys could replay that, Because I usually do that online, but now of course I am properly recycling these guys properly. Well, CLS, depending on what you like out there, I mean, if you like Transformers and GI Joe, the Energon universe that's coming out of Image right now for them under Kirkman is great. To throw back how good they were in the '80s, Hopefully that will not pizza. Let's see what's in here. Ooh, I was waiting for this. Yeah, CLS. This, like I said, that Kirkman Transformers series is one of the best comics going right now. And I mean, he's overall control of the universe. He's not writing it explicitly himself, you know. But so far they had. I enjoyed Transformers. I enjoyed the Void. What's it called? Void Jammers, which is a limited series to talk about the more sci-fi aspect of the universe. Transformers ongoing. Um, the company is fine. The company is the company. They have some good stuff out there. You'll see, you know, you'll see stuff like I know had a lot of good Godzilla stuff. For example, one of these shipments will have the next couple of Godzilla issues. You'll see. I mean, you know, don't judge it by the company. The only company that you really judge by the company. And my headset just died, so I got to replace this battery. I've been holding it off. I don't want to buy a new soldering iron. In any case, the only companies that are worth hating on CLS are basically Marvel. It's basically Marvel and to a lesser extent DC. Well, DC not because DC has gone full wolf for what they're. Well, Cops talks about it a lot. For some reason, he's still willing to read that garbage from DC. What they did down on Scott's character, you know what they did to a couple other characters. It's disgusting. You know, I don't mean there's nothing wrong with homosexuality. I'm perfectly fine with people being what they are, but you don't turn existing characters who are one way. You instead make great new characters, right? What we got here? Okay. So last week, I think, or the week before, well, they didn't make Superman gay. They made his son, who was straight previously, they turned him bisexual. Now, arguably, that's a new character. So you could arguably have made him gay to begin with, and I would personally would have been okay. But then they decide, okay, we're going to make a gay Superman this way instead of giving him his own superhero identity. Make him be, you know, give him a new name, like um, whatever you want to make a new name up for. But leave Kal-El as Superman. Let his son be a new character who happens to be gay. I personally would have been okay with that. What they did though is they made him be gay. Then they said we have to make Superman gay, but they'll never accept Kal-El being gay. So we'll send Kal-El and Lois off to another planet for several years, and his son will step up and be Superman. So then they had their gay Superman, and the book tanked. It tanked like a rock because instead of being honest and making a new character, like when John Byrne made Northstar back in the '80s on the X-Men, he was gay to begin with. I mean, they couldn't come out and say it because of the way the comics code was at the time, but in interviews and stuff, he would say the character's gay. And he didn't take an existing character and make him gay. He didn't make the character a trope. Northstar, he didn't. Being gay wasn't to be an animal of Northstar's character. He was just gay. That was it. And that was that. No one went crazy about it. Anyway, so a couple weeks ago, probably 2 weeks ago, I showed off a graphic novel I got called what was it called? Let me get the proper name for you guys. Okay, it was called "You Promised Me Darkness," and it's a comic series. I would have bought it, the issues themselves, because I was intrigued by the artwork and the title, but the issues were just like hard to get and ultra expensive. It only came out like last year. So this is the follow up to "You Promised Me Darkness," called "Follow Me into Darkness." It's about an apocalypse. Basically, the premise is that every time Hell's Comet comes around, It caused these weird mutations in humans that give some of them superpowers, drive some of them crazy, and all that. And this is kind of what that's about. And this is the thought. I love that series. In fact, if I could ever have blow money on anything, I'll get it in comic form. That's how much I loved it. It reminded me of The Crow in terms of the artwork and the storytelling style. This is a $4 book from Behemoth Comics. I'm holding this with 2 fingers, and the spine isn't even flexing. For $4, this is an incredibly well constructed book. You can feel it in your freaking hands. Now I got to be careful because some of the artwork in here is a little, I can't show you the first page. I can show you the second page here. Right. I mean, this is beautiful work, man. There is some nakedness in this, but it's not an adult comic. Like it's not a pornographic. You know what I mean? It's just like an R-rated movie type. Like these little dogs like that are normally friendly looking. Look how haunted and evil as hell that little dog looks in this black and white and shading. We got a third viewer out there, man, and this is so well constructed, man. Oh my god. I wish all comics. $4. This is worth it. Now I have issue 2 because this series premiered. I want to say about 6 months ago, 4 months ago. So I'm a little behind on it. So I gotta find issue 1 before I can read it. Obviously, this is issue 3. Well, I'm not saying that there's like rampant sex in these comics or anything, but it's like an R-rated movie. Within the context, that's hard. That the shadows mask almost everything other than naked breasts. But I can't show it up on YouTube, obviously. Like for example, I'm gonna put my finger in a strategic spot and show off this page. So the chick under me is completely naked, but you couldn't tell because of the artwork. But you would see the one breast I'm covering, Like even when 2 characters have sex, you can't really make it out because the shadows mask it, but you know what's happening. You know what I mean? Oh, and these series, the Darkness series, are by Damian Connolly is a writer and is the right art in the covers, and he had assistance from Anna Shadowcat and Athos Pastore, and the letter is Athos Pastore. And this is a supernatural horror type comic. Now, the next couple issues are all Radiant Black. I finally caught up in graphic novel format to like issue 19 or so, and now I'm buying it in comic issue format because I prefer to read it this way. I'm not going to open all 3 of these. Radiant Black is from Image. It's their Image Massive Verse. They rebooted it about three or 4 years ago, so it's an easy way to get. You can get all the early stuff in graphic novels. If you want to test it out, and then if you want to get in a superhero universe, really easy. It's only 2 or 3 ongoing, and they're keeping it small. So these are creators. So the writer is Kyle Higgins. The artist is Marcelo Costa. Color assistant is Rod Fernandez. Letter is Becky Carey. There's no wokeness in this. Isn't pushing an agenda. So I like the Massiverse images they're putting out. Again, I'm not going to open all 3 of them of the Radiant Blacks. And the last comic that came in, so I was a big fan of Valiant Comics in their first and second iterations in the 90s. Before the scam artists, basically, the first iteration was when Shooter was running it, and then the scam artist pushed him out because I don't know why. I heard he found it The rumor is he found out what they were doing when they were basically gonna. They had all these extra back issues they were gonna flood. They were gonna use to profiteer off of by jacking up the price of the more limited books. Um, so they forced Shooter out. The quality declined, but it was still okay in that second era. And then Acclaim bought them. There was a whole bunch of when the scam investors wanted out because they weren't going to make their money because everyone found out about it, and it went downhill after that. Now supposedly Image is back to form. Image Valiant is back to form. So Exo Man War Unconquered is obviously issue I want to check out. I have issue number 4 somewhere as well. But I said, let me get issue 1 before I hunt down. They're up to 6 issues. Before I hunt them all down, let me get you issue 1 of it. Now, I believe this is a total reboot. Yeah. This is it. Well, here's the thing, CLS. There's still a market for it, but what happened is the big companies, Marvel and DC, there's no market for them. And when you go through mail order and you do limited print runs and whatever, you can still get quality comics and then still make money for the small companies. It's the comic industry where you have comic stores and where you have like large amounts of Marvel and DC with all these different characters. That's what basically died off. So the premise of X-Men War. Eric of Dacia is a Visigoth warrior. When his people were abducted and enslaved by the alien race known as the Vine, Eric bonded with the legendary living armor called Shanhara to free the Visigoths. He returned with his people Earth in present day, becoming the hero known as the X-Men of War. Writers are Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad. Artist is Liam Sharp. A letterer is Troy Pateri. The cover is Liam Sharp. A variant cover is Nimit Malavia. I don't think I have a variant. I have a main cover. Will Stale and Bob Layton, the legendary Bob Layton. Okay, so we go. This is a $3.99 book. This is a $3.99 book, right? This is Follow Me, Artist. This is 100 times better put together, constructed. 100. If I don't hold this with 2 fingers, it's spinal bend. Some internals. So I'm eagerly anticipating this. So we'll see if it lives up to my expectations. Okay. Wow, we've got almost an hour just comic book all unboxings. And this is from Things from Another World. Yep. Okay. So you can put the Transformers knife away, and the scissors. Well, you know what? I'm gonna use the scissors to get through this stupid magazine bag. Rather than fight with it. So most of what's in here is So you notice these aren't bagged or boarded, right? You can choose to have Things from the World bag and board everything. I have a big backlog of them sitting here. I'd rather use them up and not have 100 of them sitting around gathering dust while I get Let's sort these out. Okay. So more issues of Radiant Black. So now I'm fully caught up on Radiant Black in terms of the regular issues. I can read through them probably tonight. And the other 2 issues of Follow Me Into Darkness, awesome construction and beautiful covers. And look at the wolf. Look at the picture of how beautiful that wolf looks. And this is an issue. Let me get what it's about. So this is now I jumped on this because it's written by Jim Starlin. Okay, Starlin is one of the best comic creators of my lifetime. It's called Order and Outrage. It's basically like a science fiction space opera involving genetic manipulation. It's a 4-issue miniseries. It's from Dark Horse. It's a $5 book. Very solid construction, but this $4 book is more well constructed than this $5 book. Okay? These covers are literally on cardstock. The artwork is beautiful. The coloring is awesome. So I'm gonna read this and see if I like it. If I like it, I'll get the other 3. And let's get our credits page up here. So it's written by Jim Starlin, art by Raz Morales. He's a good artist. Colors by Haley R. Brown. She did a great job just on visual observation. Lettering by Michael Hesler. Good lettering. Cover art by Raz Morales. Cover A by Haley Brown. I don't know if I got cover A or B. I tend to go with the covers that have babes on them. Cover art B by Jim Starlin. He's not just a writer, he's an artist. Okay? So that's our comics. Up to 348. I got to beg and boy these. Usually I do it on screen with you guys, but we're a little behind. And I don't want to push the show too long. Obviously, you guys used to be going an hour to hour 15 minutes, an hour and a half. So let's try to hold to that. Okay, so what do we got for the articles? Sorry about that, man. I'm having trouble breathing with the allergies. Okay, so I'm a big fan of the Law and Order stuff, or the Law and Order TV shows. Thanks, CLS. There are currently 9 Law and Order TV shows on the air. There's Law and Order SVU, Law and Order Organized Crime, the 3 Chicago shows, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago PD, and the 3 FBI shows. Overall quality is good, but the last couple of years, quite a bit of the stories have been woke, especially like with SVU. And here's the thing. But this season in particular, for some reason, the wokeness seems to have faded out. It's like Dick Wolf, I think is his name, the guy who runs all of them. It's like you realize that the audience doesn't care for that bullshit. So case in point, though, this particular episode, episode 3. She is the best. Burgess is the best character on Chicago PD by far, right? She even surpassed Voight as an interesting character. And when she had her standalone episodes, they're always good because the actress can bring it. She deserves a much bigger career than just this show. That being said, this article is complaining that they didn't do the episode woke. That literally did. So the Chicago PD takes place in Chicago. The intelligence squad investigates hard crimes that are difficult to solve under the leadership of Sergeant named Voight, blah, blah, blah. And in this case, there's a murder of one of the illegal immigrants who, of course, referred to as migrants everywhere in the show. And, of course, it starts out looking like it might be a hate crime. They're investigating it. but it's really a Burgess-centric effort as she deals with stuff going on. And they complain in this show because it turns out it wasn't a hate crime, right? It wasn't the classic, Caucasian American, European American hating on the immigrants. So that they're complaining. No, in fact, it was a cop who happened to also be Latino, who murdered the person for personal reasons, okay, to cover something up. And as proved the case, this show made you think about the whole storyline and presented both sides of the issue, and which Laurel does very well. Lets you decide for yourself, just tells you a story. But this stupid CBR, which should be, I don't know, it used to be a long time ago, CBR was a great comic book site. And now it's just a woke garbage piece of crap site now. And this literally the classic, taking what is a really good episode of this show and complaining that it's not woke. I had the hiccups for some reason. Mind you, they do praise the actress. She's Italian, Marina Scorciati. They praise her performance. Okay, she plays Officer Burgess. Yeah, how Chicago PD sent a conflicting message. Sorry, guys, I have the hiccups. I'm gonna hold my breath for a minute to make me go away. Okay, let's see if that works. The word is the thing is when hold your breath to your hiccup. If you can hold it and hiccup while you hold your breath, you can force it to clear. Anyway, I'll read just one paragraph, and if you're curious, you can read the rest on your own. Where Safe Harbor falls short is problematic storytelling. This particular riff from the headline story actually makes a lot of sense. As reported by CNN and other outlets, Chicago is one of the cities at the center of the current immigration crisis. Given the Chicago PD wants to tell stories that reflect the reality of the place in the city, it would be strange if it didn't bring up the subject. This is how the story gets told. With stereotypical, this is how that story gets told. Here's the complaint: with stereotypical guest characters, awkward monologues, and a plot twist that some viewers may find offensive. Bullshit, basically. So now on to some good news. Bad news, but good news. One of my top 10 favorite bands is Blue Oyster Cult. They've done a lot of music. I mean, they literally had involvement of fantasy and sci-fi author Michael Moorcock. At one point, was played with the band. Right? They've written several songs based on his work. They wrote the song Godzilla. Their music is laced with science fiction and fantasy. They're a hard rock band. They formed in the late '60s. At one point, under Eric Clapton played with them. At one point, they're a band. A lot of guys floating in and out, and now they're taking hiatuses. But now they're ending. They've been doing their last tours. They're putting out one final album, which is a combination of a couple new songs and a couple of like remastered older songs that haven't put out on a while. So this is coming out in March. It's their 50th anniversary celebration. It's their last studio album, and I believe the band is going to retire after the next tour right after that. So if you love if you're a Blue Oyster Cult fan, I recommend go getting this album. Yeah. In a thrilling partnership with Frontiers Music SRL, Blue Oyster Cult is set to captivate fans with a collection of reimagined and completed songs that span from 1978 to 2016. These musical treasures, long considered lost gems by Blue Oyster Cult enthusiasts, were originally recorded between 1978 and 1983, except for one track from 2016, If I Fell. Also included is the only known recorded performance of their concert classic, Kick Out the Jams, which is a cover of another band. Some of the other material is from workshopping albums, some from rehearsals, and all recorded once in the hopes that some days they'll see the light of day. So this is coming out, I believe, in March. Now on to the next topic. So I was on Roman's show last night. We had a fun show talking about 1984 Dune. And the reason we're talking about it then is because it's the 40th anniversary of Dune 1984, which is really David Lynch's Dune, not Frank Herbert's Dune. Though Herbert was appreciative of the movie, he did participate in the writing of it. Anywho, they're they're sending it back to the theaters for 2 weeks before Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 comes out. And Mike, this is my complaint, okay? I understand Dune is more than 50 years old, so spoilers, right? But I've read the book, so I know this stuff. I'm willing to bet that 90% of people watching this movie never read the book. And this fight, there's a fight between Paul Muad'Dib and Fade Routha, symbolically ending the Harkonnen Atreides feud, which has been on for over 10,000 years, symbolically ending it. And it really sneaks up on you if you ever in a book and in all the versions of the movie. Yet they're advertising like it's a Mortal Kombat movie. This fight shouldn't even be mentioned or hinted at. You should just get to it and be there. Now, so this is my complaint is that why they advertising this fight. I think it's a bad idea. If you want, you can go play it's a good interview with the two guys. I don't blame the actors for it. I blame Villeneuve and the people running the movie. Here's a case of here's a cancel pig, Fabian Nicieza. This guy is one of the better comic book writers of my lifetime, especially with Deadpool. He's the best Deadpool writer, and it's self-explanatory, the title. I'm highlighting this out because the dichotomy we have to live with writers who we enjoy reading, but we don't want to. We hate them. We despise what they have to say and other stuff. Then we got some good news. So they're calling it Amazon Prime's Warhammer 40K universe, but Henry Cavill and his wife have the creative control of this product. And Henry Cavill we know he's a big fan of a nerd to begin with, and he loves Warhammer. Okay, so I only peripherally know Warhammer. I read, I think, maybe one of some Warhammer comics, played Warhammer Fantasy when I was a kid, a little bit, very little bit. I respect the universe, but I never got drawn into it, the way a lot of people are. But I will watch this because Cavill respects the material the same way he wanted The Witcher to be great. Now and we all got screwed over, including him on that. This could adhere to the lore because Cavill is going to crawl with his iron fist. In offering up further proof as to why he was the right man to helm any adaptation of the popular tabletop game, Henry Cavill has declared his ongoing work on Warhammer 40K and television series for Amazon Prime has been the greatest privilege of his entire career. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. There's a whole bunch of interesting discussion. But it's a good article. Point is, So I'll find another topic. So we know that. So Graham Hancock and Randall Carson have been doing journalism on this stuff for decades, finding the little bits of science that are out there about. So how to explain it? During the ice ages, more water gets sucked out of the oceans and stored in the glaciers. Right. It turns out that the continents have long continental shelves that are fairly shallow in terms of compared to most of the ocean depth. Like here's the surface of the continent above the water, here's the continental shelf, and then here's the edge, boom, to the bottom of the ocean, right? So vast parts of these shelves become dry land for hundreds or thousands of years as the ice ages of the glaciers grow in. And naturally, if you ever notice human maps, we live very close to the ocean, the majority of our population, or rivers. So it would make sense that ancient human civilizations would have lived on the continental shelves closer to the ocean so they could fish and live off the water, as it were. And it makes sense that they would have been buried, essentially, when the ocean came in, when the glaciers melted, right? So there's the Bimini Road, which is these giant handcar block, which are clearly some sort of like giant paving stones of some sort. They're like 100 feet underwater. They found some other stuff down there. But for decades, mainstream archaeologists have been calling Hancock and Carlson and people who support their concepts hacks, and right. Now, they have some out there stuff that I don't support. I wish they would have kept their journalism separate from the speculation as to so advanced super civilization. Just focus on the journalism of the actual like stuff. I think it's called Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix if you want to watch a. Okay, CLS. Thanks for showing, buddy. Thank you for being here. I wish if you want to see a good in-depth explanation of summary of what Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson have been doing for the past, but my question here is: will scientists ever apologize to those two guys in particular? Not that they're actually interested in doing this stuff. Right? So you can read the article for yourself. We got a couple science articles here. So in Universe Today, how dangerous are kilonovae? So you've heard of a supernova, right? Well, this is an explosion even bigger than a supernova. The study focuses on kilonovae, which can occur when either two neutron stars collide or a neutron star collides with a stellar mass black hole. Kilonova is similar to supernova, but much more intense. In the paper, the authors look at a particular kilonova known as GW 170817. It was detected by the LIGO and Virgo gravitational wave observatories in 2017 and stays a gamma ray burst by the Fermi Integral Space Telescopes. To both optical and gravitational observations, the energy of the kilonova can be calculated quite well. And this article goes into an interesting, is a summary of, how do I put it, of an actual scientific paper, right? Which is in the Astrophysical Journey, okay? Astrophysical Journal called Could a Kilonova Kill Us? A threat assessment. And they analyze how close to one of these things have to be to actually harm us. So that's what this is about. I find the universe is a very dangerous place. Here we have a new record. A Russian cosmonaut spent 879 and counting in space. He could be up there well over 1,000, but he has the record for 879. That's a world record, not just a Russian record. Pretty interesting read down there. And of course, in the awesome power of nature, Santorini is the volcano that erupted and quite possibly ended the Minoan civilization. So this reveals that over 500,000 years ago, there was an even larger volcanic eruption from Santorini. They're doing is they're going into the ocean and taking samples deeper and deeper to find all the previous eruptions. This article is pretty good for that. It's in Nature. It's quite long. It's in Nature. It's a full article as opposed to an article about a paper. But here, researchers drilled into the seafloor at 12 sites near the Greek island of Santorini and pulled up geological evidence of past eruptions, including a giant blast around 520,000 years ago. So there's Colombo, there's Santorini, there's the drill sites, and they're looking around for all the Christina volcano. There's a whole bunch of volcanoes in this area. And our last science article, which is a video which I will play because I think I can get away with it from Reuters, was on Rumble. I don't know if you're going to get hibernation, I guess, on timetables. And they all, different species of cicada have different tables they do this on. I'm not a cicada expert. If I mess something up, I mess something up. And this is a once in a lifetime thing. Like two cicadas, basically. I guess I don't know if you're hearing it or not. Let me see if I can do the audio. So the 17 and 13-year cicadas are on the same time frame. They're both going to emerge at the same time. It's a short video over on Rumble. It's worth watching. I would strongly recommend checking it out. It's a cool thing. Hopefully, we'll have video of it, a video of all of it. So so that's our article portion. Normally, I would hunt down a few random articles. So I'll do two random articles. So I do want to get this one set of Star Trek fan films. Talk about that for 5 or 10 minutes minimum. All right. So we'll go present, share screen, new tab. So let's take a look at. We'll try to find 2 articles to talk about. Oh my God. I don't want to talk about it, but it's like the image. Oh God. Here we go. Christopher Reeve committed to leaving politics out of it playing Superman. The way I deal with it is to dismiss it completely. He's right, and that's why Christopher Reeve was a great man, great actor. Take Christopher Reeve, for instance. In cinema, he perfectly embodies the awestruck middle American simplicity of Clark Kent and Superman's sense of righteousness and idealism. He gave both sides of the clock's persona and the authenticity and equilibrium that define the Man of Steel for a generation. In short, he nailed it. So, for an interview from Playgirl, all right. But the real difference between a character actor comes through when Reeve begins to speak. Only when it's apparent that in playing Superman, Reeve is playing against type. Part of the charm of Reeve's Superman, despite his ability to outspeed will, lies in his watchful, wondering, and vulnerable absorption of life. Okay, here's a quote from Reeve. The way I deal with that is to dismiss each other in politics. I refuse to entertain even from the possibility that Superman has anything to do with the real world. Real Superman is a draw of popcorn entertainment. I can't grant him any more important status than that. And what he's saying is the movies or the comics or whatever are what they are. You can tell your stories. You can even have allegory and whatnot, but don't directly connect to real world events. Don't tie them together. Don't have fighting over these characters that, don't ruin them for the sake of woke support. That's the whole kind of concept here, And he of course, they would cancel him for that, I'm sure, because he was a lefty. And then, one more article. And then we'll go on to my last topic. Check out Giant Freaking Robot. I'm going to go into Babylon 5 is on Tubi. For those who've never seen it, Tubi is a free way to watch. Let's find... You know what? Let's just go straight to the Star Trek stuff. So many years ago, Star Trek, the original series, was canceled, but there were some ratings issues and whatnot. There's some finance issues. I don't remember the whole spiel of it, but its popularity grew in its cancellation, right? So, Roddenberry had a bunch of unfinished scripts, and he was building momentum for a Star Trek follow-up TV show, which would be the continuation of James T. Kirk's 5-year mission. He had all the actors, but Leonard Nimoy signed up for it. I'll get to why that's important in a minute. And it was going to be called Star Trek Phase 2. It would have been year 4 of the 5-year mission, right? And eventually, Paramount and CBS kept going back and forth about, do we want a TV show? Do we want a movie? The TV show rights weren't with CBS, they were with NBC. So let's do a movie so we can have all the rights to it, and movies make more merchandising and blah, blah, blah. And eventually, Star Trek Phase 2 became Star Trek 1 and 2. If you remember the beginning of Star Trek 2, the new science officer, Zahn, is beaming on board and dies in a transporter accident. Because Leonard Nimoy originally wasn't signed up for to come back, but he did, so they killed off Zahn off screen, basically with the transporter accident. Right? Zahn would have been a full-blooded Vulcan. And elements of Star Trek Phase 2 wound up being in Star Trek, the motion picture, and Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. Right? So, and then Roddenberry basically lost control of the franchise after that. It was his limit. He was restricted to being more of a, instead of control, to be more of a head writer type, and because he was taking in directions that were a little wonky, But anyway, so what happened out of that? Then Star Trek kind of died off. And then eventually we got Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. That was the 90s, basically. But then it died off. Fans Enterprise is not well loved by the majority of the fandom. Okay, so Star Trek has always had a lot of fan films going back into the VHS days when they would make them in their backyard with styrofoam bridges and whatever. But with the advent of Lightwave 3D from Babylon 5 made home editing of fan movies with high quality production better. And a lot of the creators of Star Trek who were involved started working in the fan films. I talked about Star Trek Continues last week, Axanar, and I talked about a completely fan project, Another Universe. I don't remember the name right now, but I talked about them last week. But one project I didn't get to was Star Trek New Voyages, which was based very closely on Star Trek Phase 2. In fact, people who worked on Star Trek worked on, and that's why this show was ultimately canceled, because like Star Trek Continues stopped when they started making new Star Trek shows, right? But just as a sort of courtesy of it. But Star Trek Phase 2 stopped when Star Trek: The New Voyages, when the whole lawsuit happened, and one of the rules for Paramount was that people who actually worked on Star Trek weren't allowed to work on the fan projects, right? And the guy Cawley and I and other guys on it, two or three guys doing special effects, had worked on actual Star Trek, so they weren't allowed to complete special effects, and plus they had actors from the show appearing in the episodes. So there were three final episodes that had been completely filmed, but post-production was stopped on them, and they could technically someday complete them. They've been asking for years for permission from CBS and Paramount and all. Hasn't been granted. But they had about 10, 11 episodes, and they were really, really good. First couple episodes weigh heavily into the humor of TOS a little too much, but by the second episode and the third episode, they hone right in and become very good Star Trek. So if you want to read Star Trek Phase 2, I got an article for you there so you can know what that was. And I have the Star Trek New Voyages wiki page so you can go through that. And I'll have a link down below to their page, to their YouTube page. And I'll just play a little bit of one of them. Playlists, all episodes in release order. The old NBC opening to it.
Brought to you in living color.
There's some visual. This is the episode 0.
Board, Mr. Chekhov.
Look how authentic looking the uniforms are.
Maintain ship status for 3.2.
And the actor who plays Spock changes like every 2 episodes.
It is my danger.
Whereas James Cawley plays Kirk through the whole thing.
Perhaps to give Onabi a chance to save.
Let's go forward one. We'll take a little.
Could that be
It's a
what happened?
recurring Klingon.
When we detonated the constellation, could we somehow have caused a dangerous chronoton burst?
And a
No. And maybe this is what they look
This
like
is
before.
a guy playing Bone.
Or
The
perhaps
actors
this
do
is
a real
80s.
good job.
All right.
It's only a rumor.
Walter Cohen
Sure,
returns.
Dr.
The
McCoy
Chekhov
is searching
in
the medical
episode
files
2.
right. You're not.
The older Chekhov, obviously.
You're not an
It's
hallucination.
an aging
Not
thing.
to you.
need to attend to.
I understand, Mr. Spock.
As soon as we're clear of this hyperspecial beastie,
So that's we've shown it off. So I'd recommend watching Star Trek Continues, Star Trek New Voyages, which is also known as Star Trek Phase 2, the Axanar stuff, and that other series, the Universe. And next week I'll talk about Star Trek Renegades. Okay, I think I talked about them last week. I didn't give them enough of a view over. And after Star Trek, there are 2 Lord of the Rings fan films that are really good that I'll talk about in 2 weeks. Okay? So that's been Friday Fandemonium. We hit my hour 15 time mark, which is a nice little length for a show. If we do Sunday get a guest host or an interviewee or someone, then we'll have a little more. Maybe we'll go for an hour and a half to 2 hours. But I'm not going to push the time. I think 1 hour to 1 hour and 15 minutes, maybe an hour and a half is right about the right time for a little afternoon drive. Yeah, Conroy. I mean, here's the thing. Fan fiction, which is what the fan films are, has a place, right? And I know the creators can't approve it because they will lose their copyrights and all, right? But when you want something as good as Star Trek, for example, the response of Paramount shouldn't have been to crush it all. It should have been to create a sort of fan license where these fans are making this product and say, look, we own this product. You want to make it? You have to put it on our Star Trek website. We have to approve it. There can't be any adult material. It has to be PG-13 or less, and you get 25% of the money. That's what I would have done, right? So we get some nice follow-ups, and especially my favorite era is the TOS era. The uniforms, yes, I know the chicks are wearing the miniskirts. Fine, I'm a pig. Blah blah blah. I love hot chicks, whatever. But I love the uniform. I love the sort of Wild West exploration stuff. I dislike in even though I love TNG and Deep Space Nine, I hate it. They had these 10,000 fleet ships. That was way overkill for what Star Trek was supposed to be, which are a small group of very powerful and expensive vessels. But yeah, it's a way for us to get to keep with the character he loves, give him a send off. I agree on that too. What else? So next week will be another Friday Fandemonium. I don't know if I'll have, given all the comics that came for this week, I don't know if I'll have any for next week, but I'll see. I might do a little live stream later or tomorrow, ordering some comics. There's some issues I had to pick up. We'll see about that. I may do another Linux live stream tomorrow for half an hour to an hour, just talking about a few issues. I noticed a little changes, things, and whatnot. My Masters of the Air episode 3 review is up. It's been up for a day now. I love that show. The third episode. Oh, I'm gonna correct that. I really like the show, but I'm liking it more and more as each episode comes out. Okay. My episode 4 review will be out probably by Sunday. I'll watch it later tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to watch the next episode of Sharp sometime next day or so. And so I'll have that out. So I'll have two definite reviews stuff out by Monday, if I plan right. I was just on Roman the Empire show this Thursday talking about Dune 1984. I did a video about Dune 1984 a few weeks ago, which I talk about the difference between the book and the movie and my criticisms of the movie. What else I got going on? At some point, I'll be on Jacob Ironside's channel again. I cover a lot of stuff with him. And what else? That's about it. Anyone have any questions? Otherwise, it's time to sign it off. Okay, I don't see any questions. So, close that out. So, everyone, have a good week. Have a blessed weekend. A safe weekend. Comment down below if you have any follow-up questions or suggestions for topics. Please share this video out if you enjoyed it. Like it, please, if you like it. Dislike if you dislike it. Until next stream, Conroy, these are the voyages of the Crown Prince of Fandomonia. My quest to rule the universe. Anyway, well, the universe of fandom at least. Thank you and have a great day.